It's great to be here with all of you this morning. Windy morning here in South Bend, Indiana, and I know this is a moment of pride for all of you, and probably a little bit bittersweet, because Notre Dame is certainly a special place and made special by all the people in this room, our student athletes and their families, their parents, their brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, grandparents. It's just a great crew, and we're so proud of you. I wanted to start just by talking about some of the statistics of this class and what this class has accomplished. I asked a bunch of different groups in the athletic department to send me some information just to get an oversight of all the accomplishments that people in this year made. And of course, a lot of your peers and student athlete friends are on the road. Our baseball team down in Miami, our rowing team at the ACC championships, our men's lacrosse team taking on Penn State tomorrow. So a lot of people are on the road. So they're responsible for some of these statistics as well. But 163 student athletes showed up as freshmen here at Notre Dame 4 years ago, coming off a high school career that was probably significantly impacted by COVID, and kind of navigating through the chaos of COVID and ending up at Notre Dame, 163 of you strong. You had 15 transfer in over the course of these 4 years into Notre Dame. When those 163 student athletes showed up on campus, they were from 32 states and 10 countries. Pretty impressive for a group of 163. Grade point averages, which is so important here at Notre Dame, as we all know. Grade point average for the teams this year, we had 3.37, 7 teams over 3.5 grade point average, and all 26 of our teams had over a 3.0 grade point average, which is pretty spectacular when you think about it, and proof that you can still do it the way Notre Dame does it. We led all FBS schools with our academic progress ratings, a score of 1,000, which is perfect, in 2020, 2021, 2023, and 2024. Not sure what happened in 2022, but there it is. The group in this room, these student athletes, over the course of their 4 years in Notre Dame, volunteered for over 10,000 hours of community service in the Michiana area, which is amazing. I always say it's so hard to be a student in Notre Dame. It's that much more difficult to be a student athlete because you're basically a full-time student with a full-time job. And yet, the young men and women in this room found 10,000 hours of time to give back to the community, which is so amazing. We had 11 ACC team titles and 25 individual titles in the ACC. We had 5 team NCAA champions and 13 individual NCAA champions. And with Jaden O'Brien still out there, I bet that number grows here in the next few weeks. 82 All-Americans, which is amazing when you think about it. And 17 Olympians who won 10 medals from that class of 163 individuals. So that is about as impressive as it can possibly get. And you think about, what this group of individuals has done here at Notre Dame, and it's so exciting, so impressive, but I so look forward to seeing what you're going to do when you leave Notre Dame. And, that's the power of Notre Dame. And, Matt said it, and I'll repeat it. Our goal, I like to say to recruits, and I have recruits from every one of our 26 programs come into my office and sit with me. And I always say our goal, my belief, and I'm hardly biased when it comes to Notre Dame, but my belief is we are absolutely the best 1-2 punch in the country. If you want to come to a university and have every athletic resource at your fingertips, facilities, coaches, playing the ACC, playing the Big Ten for hockey, independent in football, but everything, sports science, mental health, data, nutrition, Notre Dame. We're going to give you every resource imaginable, but we're going to do the same thing academically. And Matt said it well. He quoted Marcus Freeman, and he says, choose hard, because you are choosing hard, to be able to do it on the athletic side, but also on the academic side. And the conversations I have with Father Bala, it always comes back to that. We always say to each other, the Notre Dame way is to do it both ways. It's easy to do one or the other. We could give the people in this room an unbelievable academic experience, and you could leave after 4 years of one of the best degrees in the world, and we could say we're going to do everything academically, and you know what? That just means we're not going to be certain teams in certain sports. We're not going to beat the UConns in basketball. We're not going to beat the North Carolinas and Duke in lacrosse. We're not going to beat the Ohio States in football. Or we could say, you know what? Let's go all in on athletics. Let's call Mickey Kidder in the admissions department and say, have at it. Let anybody in. We're going to do special courses for our student athletes. They're going to live in their own dorms. They can take classes online. That's not a big issue. And let's go be powerhouses in all 26 sports. But the key to Notre Dame is to do both. We're not going to compromise. We're going to give you that unbelievable, authentic, credible student experience. But we're also going to go out there and beat the best teams in the country in every one of our programs. And there's no compromising on that point. And the people in this room have helped us do that. And, I was thinking about graduation, and like I said, it's bittersweet. And I was going back to the moments in my life and advice that people had given me when I was young and kind of leaving Notre Dame and thinking about what to do next. And as many of you, maybe the student athletes in this room know, when I graduated from Notre Dame, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Went back and taught for a year where I had gone to high school in Greenwich, Connecticut, and then ultimately went to law school at Georgetown. But three things stood out at me when I was thinking about little tidbits of rather simple advice that I kind of gone back to throughout my life. And the first one was really what I heard in my high school graduation. Our guest speaker ran a summer camp in Maine. And he came and he spoke to our class and he said, one of the keys to life is if you can find out how to make a living with something you're passionate about, life is more enjoyable. And my father would always echo that back to me. And when I graduated law school, went to work at a law firm in New York City, he would always say, are you passionate about this? Remember what you heard at your high school graduation. And I was a lawyer in New York for 4 years, but I wasn't passionate about it. And I knew somehow I had to get to sports. And I would challenge each of you, you're young, and it's such a benefit, and you have so much freedom when you're young. And what you might do this summer, what you might do next fall could be very different from what you ultimately do. And if you can find that secret of doing something that you love and making a living at it, I feel incredibly fortunate that I've kind of found that formula to be in sports, to be back here at Notre Dame. The next bit of advice that I always remind myself of, and this was someone who was running a major Fortune 100 company and was one of my mentors. And I always think back at this, and I always tell our staff this, let's take what we do seriously, but never take yourself too seriously. And that's helped me because there's going to be pressure points. There's going to be chaos at work. There's going to be those tense moments. And I take what we do here in Notre Dame incredibly seriously, but we never take ourselves too seriously. And I think that just allows you to keep a great frame of mind as you go forward in life and start figuring out what you're going to do professionally. And the last bit of advice my mom told me when I was graduating high school and coming to Notre Dame, and I thought about this when I went to law school. I thought about this when I went to that law firm in New York. And so many of you are going to start new jobs. You're going to be inexperienced. You're going to be around people that have been doing something for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And my mother said, and it always sticks in my mind, and unfortunately both my parents passed away years ago, that never ever think you're better than anyone else, but never think anyone else is better than you. And that has always stood out to me. Whether you're dealing with the CEO of a company or a person who works in the lunchroom, never think you're better than anyone else, but never for a second think that anybody's better than you, because they're not. And you're leaving here at Notre Dame with student athletes with such an advantage. You've proven so much already. You're leaving and you're heading into life with such a head of steam. And all those statistics of what you've accomplished over the course of your 4 years are amazing, but they're going to pale in comparison to what this group of people will accomplish over the next 50, 60 years. And I'm excited to witness that here at Notre Dame. So bittersweet moment, but an unbelievably happy moment. And all of you should be incredibly proud of yourselves. I know your parents and your family are proud of you, and we're going to miss you here at Notre Dame. So thank you.